is going on today, guys? Hope everybody's having a great Thursday. Right now is the nicest day of the year so far. Unfortunately, right now it is almost 6 o'clock. I got to this video kind of late, had some things that we were taking care of earlier in the day. A lot of people have been asking about the turbo, so let's address that first. So I spoke with Barter Turbo Service. That's where I get all my turbos. He's a great guy, super understanding of everything that's happened so far. The first failure really we attributed to maybe some high EGT situations that caused that first failure. This second failure was within a couple hundred miles after break-in stuff. Really was the first open throttle pass that we had made. Now, there was no thrust issue with this. There was no melting. Really just the bearings decided to go out, and because of that, we had some turbine and compressor marring in both of the wheels on the housings. So when I was talking with Barter, basically in his opinion, that's only attributed by oil supply issue. Now let's get to Andrew's oil supply and what I've used for basically every single S400 and HX60, even on my pulling truck stuff. I always use number 6-6 AN line. That's pretty big when it comes to S400, seeing that a lot of people actually only recommend a number 4 or -4 line. I even go as far as upgrading the fitting in the actual oil filter housing to maximize the flow. In my opinion, on this charger, and you know, we don't have a definite answer. We might send this turbo back into Borg. In Barter's opinion, every time he's done that, they always just come back with insufficient oil, you know, case closed, done deal. Not a whole lot you can do about it. So I don't really have high hopes that Borg is really going to do anything about this failure. I'm not sure if these SXE chargers, and of course the more that I looked for SXE failures, the more people that I found having issues for, you know, really no reason under 500 miles. Yes, we did pre-lube the turbo before it got started. I always do that. I always dump oil until it's completely filled, spin it around a little bit. That way you know it's pre-lubed. Yes, it was broken in properly. We didn't do a full throttle pass on it. Freaking truck passing by. We didn't do a full throttle pass on it within the first 300, 400, 500 miles. I've give or take whatever it was on the highway. So in my opinion, this isn't really a failure caused by us. Now, as far as my opinion on the SXE charger, I do still think it's a great charger. For whatever reason, I think, and possibly this might be a scenario, is that when these things are pushed really at the top end of their limit, possibly having a more oil supply required. I'm not sure. These things are rated for some crazy high flow numbers, and when they get those numbers on their stand or whatever the hell they're doing, you don't know what kind of oil supply is hooked up to that. I'm not really sure. When you start to get talking into turbo technology and this and that, it's like a freaking science. It's like way above my head of, you know, tip speed and flow this and flow that and RPM and all that other bullshit, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know any of that. I just know that the first turbo lasted about 5,000 to 7,000 miles, took some heavy ass abuse. I mean, like super high EGTs for X amount of blah, 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 blah. This second turbo didn't even last 500 miles. Nothing changed on the truck. I know the oil supply is good. So I'm not really sure. You know, basically, long story short, I'm rambling as usual. I apologize. All right, so what is gonna happen now is Barter is gonna build us his own custom S400 setup instead of going with an SXE line. We just feel a little more comfortable doing that, seeing that we just had 2 SXE failures. He's gracious enough to kind of hook us up with that, seeing that we just had 2 failures. So we're gonna try that out, change some sizing up, see if it changes anything for the better. We're actually gonna be making some modifications to the oil supply on this truck just to increase flow even further, just in case, you know, just to prevent any further issues. So this is actually the fitting that we have in the oil filter housing right now. You can see this is a true number 6-6, whatever you want to call it, and this is the metric thread on the end of the oil filter housing. You can see how wide open clear that is. There's no restriction coming out of that oil filter housing whatsoever. And there's the fitting in the actual turbo itself. Again, the same true number 6-6 in the end there. And you can kind of see there's 190 off of that, and there's another 90 going into the top of the turbo, basically just like that. So what we're gonna do to go even one step further, I think, when we get the new Charger, is to take off the oil filter housing, actually enlarge that hole on the oil filter housing, and maybe change one of these 90 degrees to either a straight or a 45 degree. Now, like I've mentioned before, I've done this same oil supply setup on countless trucks and never ever had an issue. So possibly something in the SXE Charger might be requiring a little bit more oil when it's getting pushed to the max. I'm not really sure. Barter's not really sure. These turbos still are fairly new. So long story short, we're just not really sure. Honestly, this second failure, I'm pointing my finger at Borg, at SXE for that, because literally, if you just take pure scenario, why does one Charger last 5,000 miles under super heavy abuse? Nothing changes on the truck, and the second one lasts 500 miles with a fraction of the abuse. So anyway, done talking about that. I'll let you know the changes, all that stuff, when we get the new Charger. So yesterday I did not upload. I did actually film some stuff. I was actually working on some stuff. I'm gonna show you that. I actually started working on taking the old fast system off the 05 and trying to mock up what I wanna do with the two air dogs. Now, I did film some of that, so I'm gonna splice that in now. Bucket number 2 filling up. As you might have seen in a previous video, I think we had a little bit over half a tank still left in the truck. So there is going to be quite a bit of fuel out of this thing. Luckily, fuel sump on the bottom. I just disconnected the line from the fast, and I'm just going to pretty much try and get all of that kind of like that. I just thought the other fuel container literally started leaking. Let's check on this. Oh, hey, it is. All right, so now that all the fuel stopped draining all over the floor, I think what we're gonna do is, disconnect the supply line and the return off the pump, and then dismount the pump from the truck, and then start bringing over the new air dogs and getting them squared away where I want to put them. Because this is a short bed, I had dual pumps on my sled pulling truck, and it was a long bed. There was a lot more room kind of in this general area to mount two pumps, to put them side by side. Now that I have a short bed with the fuel tank, not a fuel cell, anything like that, there's not really a whole lot of room. I'm still going to be using a sump that has a dual feed line off the sump to each pump, but I don't really want to put the pumps all the way back here just to go all the way up there. I don't want to run them clear across the axle, so I think I have a solution to mount one pump right here and then put the other pump kind of right above the leaf spring there, just suspended up. Actually, if you look at it, if you look at where the bed sits back here, the bed actually kind of humps up right here, so I do have some room to kind of bring that other pump up far up enough from the leaf spring, but still underneath the bed, the way it kind of curves up. I don't have the bed here, seeing that it's getting fixed, but I took a educational guess on Andrew's truck, so we're gonna see how that goes. Just a quick update on the bed. I did talk to the guy who's doing the body work. He is well underway on fixing the bed, getting the other stuff. He's gonna paint the other stuff and the bed at the same time. So the bed is on its way to be getting fixed. There are some slight delays with the new wheels, but it's coming along. I am getting anxious. Right now the weather is spotty on and off, but the warm weather is gonna be coming, so I am anxious to get this thing done on the street, events to you guys. right, guys, so we got the FASS off, we took the brackets off. Now what I just did is cut this support piece that came down here. I do think that I can mount both air dogs here simultaneously, get them up high enough to clear everything that I need to do. I am going to have to make a new bracket here, I believe, to extend it out a little bit further, and these holes don't really line up that great, I think, with the AirDog brackets. So I modified this just to make sure that I can get everything up high enough and lined up. That way I can kind of use this as a little bit of a template when I go to make the new one. Also, the wheel well liner kind of comes right here, which without a bed here, I'm kind of like guessing, which I'm not really a huge fan of, but I do need to make some progress here. So, you know, this outside one is easy. It's this inside one that it's really going to be a pain getting it up high enough and this and that and getting room for both the fittings. But that's actually not too bad. I can get an adapter piece in there. All right, I think we're pretty good. I just need to make a new piece, and I can mount them both right here. That'll give me enough room to get the filters out, enough clearance away from everything, still be tucked away and hidden, and you won't be able to see them just the way I like it. All right, guys, so what we're gonna do now, seeing that it's kind of late, I still have other things on the plans for tonight that I gotta get done. For the end of this video, I'm actually gonna be answering some questions that I get all the time, background stuff, things like that. So here we go. My name is Greg. I'm 30 years old. This is my channel. People that you see all the time on here are Andrew and Jesse a lot. Andrew's my youngest brother who lives with me. That's his white mega cab. Jesse actually works close to my house half the week. That's his gray mega cab. So he's in the videos about half the time, usually towards the end of the week. That's when he's here. That's why he's here, because he kind of just works really close and likes being in the videos. So this channel, if you haven't known by now, it's pretty much all about diesel performance, projects that I have going on, projects with Andrew's truck, Jesse's truck, anybody that is kind of a friend and that's working on truck stuff. I'm always videoing pretty much everything. I try to give you a background before we go over wherever we go. So yeah, a lot of diesel performance on this channel. That's what it's about. Some lifestyle stuff as well, what we're doing from day to day, things like that. I try and put up a video almost every day. So just to give you just a little bit of background, what people have been asking, if I've always been into trucks, why I choose the platform that I chose, things like that. So after I graduated high school, I went to Wyotek out in Pittsburgh. I was actually at the time way more into cars than I was diesel trucks. I graduated, came back home where I am now in New Jersey. My middle brother had a 12 out at the time, and I thought it was literally the coolest thing ever. After that, I got my first job. I actually went and got my truck. That's the 05 that's here. I've had that since pretty much right after I graduated school. My first job, I actually took a business course at Wyotek, which when I got hired for my first job, basically got hired into an assistant manager position. So after I got hired as an assistant manager, I stayed there for probably about 3 or 4 years. I learned a lot from the techs there. That's, you know, that was a big help in me learning a lot of the knowledge that I know. From there, I now work at a drilling company. I take care of inventory, parts ordering. I do a lot of running around. I'm kind of like the X factor. I can pretty much do everything, bounce everywhere, do some light mechanical work. Big question is, do I work on these trucks all day, every day? So the answer to that is really no. I'm not a heavy-duty diesel mechanic. I'm not a technician at a shop somewhere. I really don't do hands-on technical stuff all day, every day, which I'm kind of glad, because I feel like it might take away from my hobby when I come home. I might not have the same drive to work on my own stuff. But anyway, that's what I do for a living now. So have I always been into diesels? I think I answered that. No, I was actually into cars way before I ever got into diesels. I got home from school and I thought diesels were like the coolest thing ever. That's when the diesel performance scene was really starting to just emerge, actually. So I've been in the scene, getting to know people, establishing relationships, you know, ever since the beginning, which I'm very thankful for. You know, and really what I was brought up knowing and around was the Cummins platform. So when I bought my truck, obviously it was a Cummins, that was my first truck. Ever since that, I just have been expanding my knowledge on that platform. And really that's kind of just where I've stuck. I do like the newer Fords, I like the newer Chevys, but you know, I've just stuck with what I know, really. I do like and appreciate all the other platforms. So I don't know if that answered a lot of your questions. If it didn't answer any of them, you know, like I mentioned, I did take they really cram it down into 3 months, but I think it's like a 2-year business degree specializing in automotive stuff. And that really helped propel me further. I actually never wanted to take that class. My parents were like, you know, if you're gonna go, just go do the business class. It'll help you down the road. Literally helped me. My first job that I got offered, you know, instead of going into a tech position, I went into a management position, which was ultimately where I kind of wanted to go. And that helped me immensely. So if you're ever going to take a technical school, make sure if they do offer some type of business class. I mean, it really sucked. Like, don't get me wrong. It was hard. It sucked. I didn't want to do it, but it did end up paying off, you know, for sure. Where are you going, big dog?
Going to the gym.
Going to the gym? Doesn't look like gym clothes to me.
Taking the bike.
Taking the bike. What's up? What's up? Hey, get out of there. Get out of there. Get out of there. All right, guys. I apologize for the lack of activity recently. I know this is really just an update video. We're not really doing like anything super cool, super crazy, but thank you for watching. There's some behind the scenes stuff that I'm working on for the channel that I can't really give away just yet, but you guys will be informed shortly enough. Some really awesome stuff, let me tell you. I'm working on some really cool things behind the scenes for you guys to keep this channel like just crazy interesting, crazy engaged. You guys are really gonna like it. It's a project that pretty much involves all of you guys. So stay tuned for that. Information very shortly, soon to come. Promise we're gonna get this front end back together soon. Like I mentioned, we're working on getting the new bracket to mount those air dogs, and then I'm gonna start running all those lines. The body stuff should be soon. Hopefully American Force on the wheels soon, because now that the weather's super nice and 60, 65 out, now all I can think is like, damn it, I'm in the same position that I am every year, and this thing is not back together. But soon enough, I actually got some things that we're gonna do to that. We're gonna wrap up the trailer lights. Hopefully, we might be going to the track this weekend with the Send It scrap truck. We'll see though. The weather's actually supposed to be kind of crappy this Friday, which I think we're shooting for. So we're gonna play it by ear. If the weather is nice Friday, we're probably gonna be at the track, get some crazy cool stuff. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. New turbo for Andrew's truck. Gonna be here soon. I'll go over the changes that we're making to the sizing to kind of adjust for some additional fueling, things like that. What are you doing? What are you doing over here? All right, guys. That's going to do it. If you haven't already, please hit the thumbs up button before you leave. Make sure you're subscribed for all the freaking awesome stuff that's going to be coming, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right, guys, this is being filmed quite a bit later in the night. I felt like I left out kind of like a key part there, and that's, you know, where did all of my knowledge, where did everything I know come from? And that's honestly really from doing all the work myself. If I didn't know how to do something, I didn't really feel like paying somebody to do that. You know, I read about it, I watched a video online. If you're just starting out and you really want to tackle some of these bigger projects and you don't really know how to do it, you don't have the knowledge, my best suggestion is literally go online. There's videos, there's tips and tricks that I try and give you, there's forums, tutorials, things like that. If you don't know how to put head studs in, there's plenty of DIY stuff, videos, like I mentioned before. I'm rambling, again, always rambling. But don't be afraid. You can do the work yourself. You just have to go in prepared. And that's where a lot of my knowledge came from as well. I learned as I went along. Like I mentioned, I went to school for cars, not even trucks. A lot of that is basic, you know, remove and replace procedure. It's a lot of that, and you can do it. You just got to go in prepared, knowing what you're getting into, basically. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks again. See you tomorrow.